to our newsroom earlier this morning, but we were working to confirm that. We got that confirmation within the hour, but they otherwise, just based on the or outside of the bare bones, the basic information of these inmates and the charges they face, we really don't know a lot in terms of the search efforts. Again, how these guys were able to get out of DeKalb County Sheriff's Office custody and the circumstances surrounding it. So there are a lot of unanswered questions. The DeKalb County Sheriff's Office says at this point they're not going to be making any other statements. So we are trying to figure out a lot of these unanswered questions at this point, but we just have the basic information. As you mentioned, we got it roughly within the last hour, just talking about the basic incident and the specifics surrounding it. And I'm actually seeing DeKalb County Police and other unmarked law enforcement vehicles travel by, perhaps to set up a perimeter in the area. But outside of that, we haven't seen too much in terms of an extraordinary law enforcement presence out here outside of the jail this morning. So we are hoping that they will say more at some point throughout the day.
Rob, thank you so much for getting out there so quickly, being able to make it on the stream with us and give us the latest information. If we can come back to me in studio, because I do have a tip line where you guys can leave your information or any information that you may have. That information that you can send to will be the Sheriff's Office Fugitive Tip Line. It's going to be, the number is 404-298-8200. And so essentially what they're looking for there, they're hoping that anybody has seen those three individuals that we told you about. Actually, can we pull back up the graphic that has the three mug shots? I want to get you guys a good look at these young men. So again, you see them on your screen there. If you know these three people, have any idea where they could be, if you see them, for one, officers are telling you not to engage at all with them. They may be armed and they should be considered dangerous at this point in time. But if you do see them, you can call the police. And again, that Sheriff's Office Fugitive Tip Line is 404-298-8200, hoping that somebody out there knows something. All right, so that's the latest that we have on that. We'll try to check back in a little later on to see what else we can pick up. But I do also want to let you know that coming up, there is going to be a news conference on a pretty touchy subject. It's actually a headline that pretty much rocked America. I guarantee you saw it. Pregnant, brain-dead Georgia woman kept on life support for months in order to give birth. Once again, it just shook the world when that one came out. It's a case that really made us all think deeply about humanity. One question is it cruel to allow a family to process their grief twice, not just once? The first time when 30-year-old Adriana Smith was declared brain dead in February, and then again a second time in June, just days after giving birth to her beautiful son that you're seeing there on your screen. His name is Chance. But of course, after she did finally give birth by C-section, she went on ahead and passed. They took her off of life support. Adriana was just a few weeks pregnant when she suffered multiple blood clots on her brain. And so in order to preserve her life, because, you know, remember, we have that ban on abortion here in Georgia. In order to preserve her life, they put her on life support and kept her there in order to be able to eventually give birth to that little baby, give him a chance to be born. Her family could not terminate her pregnancy. They could not pull the plug. So again, they had to grieve her not just once, but twice. And here's the real kicker, because after Chance was born, his father, Adrian Harden, found out that he actually had no legal rights to him as the father. And that's because he and Adriana weren't married before she ended up, falling ill and then being put on life support. It's a really tricky case there. To make matters even worse, he had to sue her after she was already dead, posthumously, to gain temporary custody. But we learned that just this month, the judge had gone ahead and made that custody permanent. We are waiting for that press conference to begin. It was supposed to start at 11, but I see we have a live look at the podium, and it is still empty at this point in time. So we're going to keep going with our top news of the day. But as soon as we do get somebody to that podium, I want to get you out to it so you can listen in. It's going to be Adrian, the father, speaking with his attorneys. We may also potentially get to hear from the family there about everything that's going on. again, there's some change that they would like to bring to the Georgia state law, because I told you the reason why she was put on life support, the reason why she was held for so long, why she was forced to give birth and then was allowed to pass away a second time, if you will, is because of the abortion ban that we have here in Georgia, that heartbeat law. All right, so moving forward with our news of the day as we wait for that to begin, let me see, we'll talk to you about the Epstein files, because more of them have been released, but this also comes as we learned that quite a few of them were taken down. So the Justice Department released some more of the images, documents from the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. This all happening over the weekend, but some critics say that the administration is not moving quickly enough for their liking. In fact, lawmakers on Capitol Hill say that the administration isn't complying with the law at all. The Justice Department released plenty of those images publicly. Anybody could see. It was free to go online and find some of those pictures and those documents, but the documents were also heavily redacted. One of the reasons we know is because there may be victims seen and victim information seen, and as law enforcement, as the legal entity, they want to make sure that they are protecting those victims' identities and their right to privacy. So you can see there, we've got an image on your screen now where you can see a bunch of faces redacted. Those women in the pictures may be victims. Now, the DOJ had to explain to the public after we saw, I think it was 16 files removed from the DOJ website. When those images were removed, one of them included a photo of President Donald Trump, and so they had to explain why it disappeared. Deputy AG Todd Blanche said, and I'm going to read the quote for you guys. You can see in that photo, there's photographs of women. And so we learned after releasing that photograph that there are concerns about those women and the fact that we had put that photo up. So we pulled it down. That was the explanation for removing not just that photo of President Donald Trump, but a couple of the other ones that were on the website as well. But that photo was also later released to the public. The Justice Department says that some more documents could be released in the weeks ahead, but I want to know what you guys think. I mean, do you trust it? Right now, a lot of people are wondering how much trust should they put in our government? How much trust should they put in the Department of Justice? Wondering why some images are being put up, why some are being taken down. Is this cherry picking? I want to hear from you guys. Remember, we are streaming live on TikTok and YouTube. You can join in the conversation, ask me questions, tell me what you're thinking about, whether you like a story that we are discussing or not, and we can interact with you in real time. I also want to talk to you about this incident that we heard about at the airport, where a man who apparently shot himself in the airport is now facing charges, actually felonies. It happened just yesterday in the South Terminal at Hartsfield-Jackson. That's Atlanta's airport, also the busiest airport in the world. It happened right near baggage claim. Investigators are telling us that 59-year-old Douglas Smith went up one of those escalators, pulled out a gun, pointed it at himself, and then fired it. And medics responded to the scene right away there at the airport. Police say that a bystander took away the handgun, which is how everybody else in the airport seemed to have been safe. Passengers who were in the area just waiting for their baggage, you can imagine, were completely shocked, hoping that this wasn't an incident of a mass shooting, that more people wouldn't be at risk. And so this is also all coming while we're experiencing high volume holiday travel. I believe later on this week and the day after Christmas are going to be your busiest days. We'll talk to you a little bit more about that as the stream goes on. Another big headline that I need to let you guys know, we learned about a pregnant teen's unborn baby that was killed on a shooting on I-285 right near one of the off-ramps. This all happening Saturday evening. It was, again, on one of those ramps. It was the southbound ramp near Cascade Road. That's where police say that an 18-year-old woman who was pregnant at the time and a 21-year-old man were both shot, and that woman's unborn baby was unfortunately killed in this situation. There's been no word just yet on what led up to that shooting. That gunman is still on the run this morning. We're still trying to figure out who did this, why, what were the circumstances there. Fortunately, we don't have much more information other than what I was able to provide for you there. But just in case you did just join this live stream with me, I'll run through it one more time. We're learning about a pregnant teen's unborn baby that was killed on I-285 close to the southbound ramp near Cascade Road. So again, this happened Saturday, over this weekend. Police say that an 18-year-old woman was shot. And she was pregnant at the time, and a 21-year-old man was also shot. That woman's unborn baby unfortunately did not make it. There's been no word yet on what led up to that shooting. We're still trying to figure out all the information that we can so that we can then get it out to you. We do know that gunman is unfortunately still on the run this morning. We're still trying to figure out who that person is, why they opened fire on the interstate, and where they could be at this point in time. But unfortunately, we don't have much more information on that. I want to get you out to the White House for a live look at the White House, because later on today, President Donald Trump is expected to make an announcement. It may be military related. I want to see if we can get a look at the White House. I see it's up on Net 21 if we can get that routed. But later on today, the president is expected to make an announcement. He'll be joined by the Secretary of War as well as the Secretary of the Navy, and that's expected to take place at around 2:30 p.m. We, of course, have a live stream at 2 p.m. We also have one at 3 p.m., so make sure you are watching with us on Fox Local, where we'll be able to bring you out to that potentially, depending on what other news of the day we're dealing with here at home. But again, we're expecting that to be a military-related announcement, because he did say that he will be speaking alongside the Secretary of War and the Secretary of the Navy. And while we are taking a look at the White House, I do want to let you know that that's actually going to take place at a golf club in Palm Beach out in Florida. It's going to be a Trump International Golf Club. So looking forward to that. Again, that'll be at 2:30. Make sure that you're streaming with us here on Fox Local. All right, let's run through our news of the day one more time for you, just in case you are just now joining our live stream. We're really happy to have you here in the 11 a.m. We're also waiting for a press conference to get started, but actually I'm looking ahead and I do see that someone has gotten up to the podium. I'm not sure if this is just for a mic check. Let's see if we can grab that out for you guys. I see this young gentleman. He may just be doing a mic check, but just in case, let's see if we can listen in and see what he's talking about.
Great. Cool. You want to check the FX3 as well?
It's a little low. If we can turn it up just a little bit.
Other side? Right behind the screen?
I think
You were headed for the right spot, yeah. Is the camera on? Yes, it is.
okay. Press conference that will be taking part any minute now. A pregnant, brain-dead Georgia woman was kept on life support for months because she had to give birth to her baby. This is all because of Georgia's abortion ban. Her family was not allowed to terminate her pregnancy in her absence or to take her off of life support. They weren't allowed to pull the plug on her. She had to continue sitting in the hospital for months. So let me just get you the nuts and bolts here. Adriana was about, I think they say 8 to 9 weeks pregnant when she suffered from a blood clot on her brain. And at the time, she was then placed on life support. She was held in the hospital. But because she was pregnant and because she lived in the state of Georgia, she could not be taken off. Her family had to grieve her once, but then also grieve her again months later when she would give birth to her baby boy, her beautiful baby boy Chance, who you're looking at on your screen there. Because just days after she gave birth by C-section, she was then taken off life support, and unfortunately her family, of course, officially passing away, and then her family having to move forward with that mourning process. And to make matters worse, the real kicker here is that Adrian Harden, who is the father of Chance, actually did not have any legal rights to him, and that is because he and Adriana were not married when she fell ill, when she was put on life support. And so he was told by his lawyer that his best bet, he was going to have to sue her after she had already died in order to establish just a temporary custody. And just this month, here in December, a judge has now made that custody ruling permanent. And so any minute now, we are expecting that press conference to begin, where we'll then hear from him and potentially his attorney on everything that is going down there, what we can expect in the future. But again, this is all coming up now, we learned that months ago that I want to make sure I get the dates correct for you all. Adriana Smith, she was a 30-year-old woman, had been declared brain dead back in February, held on life support for months. In June, gave birth to her baby boy, Chance, the beautiful boy you see on your screen, and then just days later, taken off life support and officially passing away. And so her family is trying to deal with that, understand what's happening there. Meanwhile, Adrian Harden, who is the father of that baby Chance, was told that he did not have any legal right to the baby. And so he couldn't take him from the hospital. He could not care for him full time. And of course, this is all very detrimental. In case you don't know that much about paternity and how paternity works here in the United States, I believe it is different by each state, but here in Georgia, he did not have any legal rights because he and Adriana were not married before she ended up falling ill, being put on life support and whatnot. So we're expecting to hear from his lawyer anytime, but because it hasn't started just yet, I want to go ahead and switch gears. Coming up, we will be able to talk to you. This is a very important message, especially at this point in time. Tonight's the last night of Hanukkah, and we're going to be hearing from a rabbi who says that the holiday's message of light is especially important in this moment in time, especially with the headlines that we are seeing. So get ready for a conversation that's going to be surrounding kindness, connection, and courage, even on your most difficult days. We have more on that when we come back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Janae Murray. I've got a treat of an interview for you coming right up. So while the Jewish holiday tradition of Hanukkah is coming to a close, I do want to let you know that this is a time centered around light, resilience, and community. At least that's what I've been learning as I've been trying to research it. And these are three things that we all need in order to navigate some of the painful times that we are seeing and some of those more harsh headlines that we have to deal with. So joining me now is Rabbi Rick Jacobs. He's the president of the largest Jewish movement in North America, Union for Reform Judaism. Welcome to Fox Local.
Good to be with you.
All right, so Rabbi Jacobs, most of us played with dreidels. We learned about potato pancakes in elementary school, but not all of us have learned the true meaning of Hanukkah. So if you don't mind, could you just tell us what the holiday represents briefly?
Sure. The holiday of Hanukkah comes every year at the darkest season when it seems that the light may be fading from our existence. And Hanukkah is a time that we remember the deeds of the Maccabees, lived about 2,000 years ago. And this was a courageous group of young, proud Jews who wanted to defend their people. So every night during Hanukkah, it's 8 nights, we kindle light. The adage that says, better than curse the darkness, kindle a light. So that's what we do. Each night we light one more candle. Last night we lit the full menorah. So our houses and our communities were bright with light, but also the light of kindness, the light of compassion, and the light of solidarity. And that is what this moment most requires, because as you know, as you just shared, the headlines have been particularly distressing with all the hate and polarization in the world. And also Jews have been feeling very, very unsafe with the rise of anti-Semitism.
That's actually a perfect segue for where I want to go to next. With a holiday like this, it's important to balance the joy that we feel because we are celebrating a holiday, but also the grief that we can feel. How does Hanukkah make space for both of those things?
It's exactly the dilemma in life, to be able to somehow hold them both. They're both real. And, in Australia, on the Erev Hanukkah, right as the Hanukkah holiday was beginning in Australia, there was a brutal murder of 15 Jews on the beach. There was gathered 1,000 of them to celebrate. So our tradition is ancient. So there's an ancient Talmudic teaching, which is our collection of sage advice. It says when there is a funeral procession and a wedding procession coming to the same intersection, who gets the right of way? And the Jewish tradition says the wedding procession. Doesn't mean we ever forget the pain and the loss and the grief, but we also have to affirm life and to somehow find the joy even in a dark time. And that's this particular moment, finding both the feeling of deep solidarity with our people who are going through a horrific time in Australia and many places around the world. But also, we want joy. We want our children to spin the dreidel. We want to eat latkes. We want to say that this darkness will not consume us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that. You actually taught me something that I didn't know there too. And while we are talking about our children, we are talking about the headlines. Do you have any tips on how we can talk to our kids about the hardest headlines, not just what's happening in Australia, Israel and Gaza, anti-Semitism right here at home? Any advice on what to say?
Yeah, it's tough. I think that one of the things that's important is that the children grow up knowing, we pray that they're safe. But it also is important for them to know that we live in a world where there's a lot of hate. And our job is to be people who kindle light. The story I've been telling all week is the story of Ahmed al-Ahmed. He is a 43-year-old Muslim man from Syria, lived in Sydney, Australia. He ran to tackle one of the attackers in Sydney. He didn't know them. He just was one of these people who just had to do good. And so I think of, there's an amazing story about Billings, Montana. In 1993, there was a rock thrown by white supremacists through the window of a Jewish family. What did the community do? They all put pictures of menorahs on their windows to say, you know what? We stand together. You want to hate one of us, you're going to hate all of us. And we're going to stand in solidarity. There are beautiful stories of light and courage and kindness, even in the midst of a time of hatred, polarization, and darkness. That's what our kids need to know. There is hope, there is light, and they should be among those who kindle that light in the world.
What a beautiful message. That was very, very powerful. Another question that I want to ask you kind of dug into it a little bit there. Let's talk about interfaith friendships, relationships, and whatnot, whatever may have you. So not just on Hanukkah, but just every day in general, what are some ways that some non-Jewish friends, family members, whatever may have you, can show support, solidarity? I think all of us wish we could say that we would be that person that would stop a gunman, but not all of us are built that way. So what are some more practical ways that we can go ahead and show support?
I think one of the most powerful ways is to show up when there's an act of hate. In Chicago a few months ago, there was hate graffiti on a synagogue in the suburbs of Chicago. And the Rabbi Aryeh Margolis invited the community. And on the Friday night after the event, the synagogue was filled with people. of all faiths, of Christian faith, Muslim faith, Hindu, Buddhist. They rally together. So I think sometimes we feel like, well, I don't know the community. Can I show up in an act of solidarity? Absolutely. Can I just tell you also, there's this wonderful project called Project Menorah, which says today, if you're not Jewish, put a photograph that you go on the website, projectmenorah.org, and then just put that in your window as a way of saying, we're with you. That means the world to us. And honestly, what it also means is we got to show up for everybody else. You know, you wait and say, well, who's going to show up for me? Well, if we're not showing up for others, and there's an attack on a Christian community or a Muslim community, maybe it's a racially motivated attack, let's be that community that knows how to be together, knows how that the things that bind us together are much more powerful than things that divide us. But that also is something we need to teach our children and demonstrate, you know, take their hand and say, you know, we're going to a community that's going through a difficult time. We're going to go and tell them we're with you. That is huge. So I think the interfaith places of goodness, kindness, and solidarity, that is the counter message to this moment. And it's not only a Jewish message, I believe it's a universal message. And if we could all be those people who kindle light, that would make the world a very different place. And the light can be, as we know, a candle on Hanukkah, but it also is that act of solidarity and understanding. That is what I think all religions teach, and all religions, we should all be aspiring to live it more fully.
That was beautiful, and I also admit I have been seeing some menorahs in the storefronts right here in Atlanta. Also, I was driving along Georgia 400, and right before the exit that I think you get into Buckhead, there was a large menorah on the side of the road too that was lit up for the holiday. So, yeah, very simple but practical and way to show that you care about other people, especially during the holiday season. But you can do stuff like this year round. So
100%. And just to know, the increase in anti-Semitism is so dramatic. It just keeps going up and up. And that means that Jewish people are sometimes feeling very unsafe walking in their community. I wear a kippah or yarmulke. You walk outside, you're saying, I'm Jewish, and you know that there are people who harbor animosity and hate and even violence. So it's a dangerous time. It's a vulnerable time, but it's also a time that our Jewish community is showing up and saying, we are not going to be afraid. We're proud to be Jewish. We derive the most meaning in our lives from this Jewish tradition, and we want to defeat the ugliness of anti-Semitism. And we need to do that together as a wider community. And we are grateful to law enforcement, but our communities that kindle light, just as you described in your community, the public menorah lightings, some people are very hesitant in this moment to go and show up. But if we can actually make sure that all of us are protecting all of us, that actually changes the world for each of us.
So, Rabbi Jacobs, with just 30 seconds left, I want to ask you, we've talked a lot about how people who are non-Jewish can show their support, how they can stand in solidarity. Do you have a message, a quick one, for any of our Jewish watchers or viewers, how they can stay proud, calm, collected in who they are?
I think that is the message of the Maccabees. These were the most proud and frankly defiantly proud Jewish people from antiquity. We are those descendants of the Maccabees. So let's be strong. Let's not be foolish. Let's not court disaster or danger, but let's be proud. Let's be joyful, and let's live our Jewish tradition fully. Happy Hanukkah to everyone.
Happy Hanukkah to you as well. Thank you so much for joining with me. That was wonderful, beautiful word that we got right here. I feel like we kind of staged the stream. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, and you guys, one of the things that the rabbi was talking to us about, we mentioned the attack out in Australia, so I do want to get you the latest information that we do have on that, all happening at Bondi Beach, where they were supposed to be having a Hanukkah celebration. About 1,000 people had turned up to the beach in order to celebrate, when we know that a father-son duo is accused of coming into the area and then opening fire on those innocent people. 15 people lost their lives. 40 more people were hurt. But there was a vigil held at the beach where people were showing just how connected and loving they still are, even in these darkest times. A theme that we were just talking about there with the rabbi. And at 6:47 p.m. exactly, that was the exact minute when those first shots were fired just a week ago at the Seaside Hanukkah Festival, there was a moment of silence. So needless to say, this was an attack that changed the tight-knit Jewish community there in Australia forever. But Australia's Prime Minister attended the memorial event. He was greeted with some boos from the crowd because there are a lot of people who are angry about the policies of the government. They are accusing the government of fostering a climate of anti-Semitism and not doing enough to fight back when synagogues are burned or when hate speech is used in protests. But as far as the surviving shooter, the 24-year-old accused terrorist, he made a virtual court appearance just yesterday on Sunday. Do want to let you know he is still in the hospital after waking up from a coma, and he is still under heavy security. He's being watched 24/7. Now, his father, the other accused shooter, was killed during the massacre, but I want to point back to all of the people, the thousands of people who gathered on Bondi Beach to show that we are more together than we are separate. And that was a very powerful display that you see there, that candle honoring the victims in this horrific case. All right, switching gears now. I want to see if we can get you a live look at Hartsfield-Jackson, the Atlanta airport, where holiday travel is in full swing. Actually, before I take you out to the airport, I do see we have that press conference has just gotten started. Let's pop over to that and let you listen in. I see a lot of you in the comments wanting to know about it.
A 30-year-old African-American mother who was a nurse who was 9 weeks pregnant. The world learned that Adriana's boyfriend took her to seek medical treatment at Northside Hospital for severe headaches she was suffering. The world learned that Adriana was only given medication and sent home with her boyfriend. The world learned that Adriana's boyfriend found her the next morning unresponsive and gasping for air. The world learned Adriana's boyfriend ensured she was taken to another hospital, Emory University Hospital, where a CT scan was performed and revealed that she had multiple blood clots in her brain. The world learned that Adriana was declared brain dead on February 19th of this year. The world learned that baby Chance was miraculously born by C-section on June 13th of this year. The world learned that unfortunately, Adriana was removed from life support, and 4 days later, she unfortunately passed away. There was a lot of finger pointing, conspiracy theories, lots of conjecture on this law, that law. One thing we never heard anything about was Adriana's boyfriend, the man who took her to seek medical treatment, the man that found her gasping for air, struggling to survive, the man that ensured she went to another hospital for medical treatment, the man that was by her side, the father of her then unborn baby, her boyfriend, her support system. There was no public display of empathy nor concern for the mental and emotional well-being of the father that was there when Adriana suffered this great loss. It was not until last Friday that the world became aware of who Adrian Hardin is. The tragic story of Adriana Smith and her unborn baby hit the news February of this year. Only one person had the wherewithal and thought to ask, what about the boyfriend that was there with her? What about baby Chance's father? That one person was Tanel Hobbs of the New York Times. She was the only individual to contact our law firm about this case. What's shocking is our court records here in Georgia are public. anyone could have searched her name and found this case. The public's lack of concern and lack of awareness for Mr. Hardin and what he has experienced, unfortunately and fortunately, allowed him to grieve somewhat in peace. It allowed us to protect him and to protect his interests in peace. The reason why we are here and why this is so important is we want people to reflect on their personal views in reference to unwed fathers, more specifically, unwed African American fathers. I'm not suggesting that the terrible loss of Adriana Smith and the unfortunate circumstance of her baby should have received less attention. What I am suggesting and encouraging each person who hears my voice to consider whether or not he was deserving of more care and empathy, even in his unknown and unnamed status. I also want people to consider the law that we're here to talk about. Mr. Hardin did not have any legal rights to his biological son, Chance Hardin. He had no rights whatsoever, even in a tragic situation where the mother has passed. So while he's worrying about the uncertain future of his medically fragile baby, Mr. Hardin is confronted with the fact that legally he could potentially not be able to take his baby home. Why, you ask? Because Mr. Hardin did not have any legal rights. Here in Georgia, if a father has a child with a woman he is not married to, that father has no legal rights whatsoever. It does not matter if he signed the baby's birth certificate. It doesn't matter if there's a positive DNA test. It doesn't matter if that child bears his last name. Unless he marries the mother or sues her, the father has absolutely no legal rights, even in a tragic situation such as this.
All right, so you guys, we are listening in there to that press conference. The attorneys are speaking on behalf of Adrian Hardin, the father of that baby who was born after his mother was declared brain dead and then put on life support for months, forced to give birth, because here in Georgia we do have an active abortion ban. One of the things that I keep hearing the attorneys talk to you about, and I want to make sure I explain, is the fact that he technically, legally, did not have any rights to his son, even though he was there at the hospital, even though he signed the birth certificate, even though he was with the mother at the time. And that is because they weren't married. Here in Georgia, the paternal rights are very tricky. And so one of the things they keep talking about is the fact that they would like to eventually change Georgia's law so that it doesn't affect fathers moving forward, so no one else has to experience the kind of hurt and pain that he had to experience. This has been a legal battle for him, first trying to gain that temporary custody and then having to sue the mother of his child after she already died in order to gain permanent custody, which he was granted earlier this month. So that is what they have been talking about there, and I see that you guys are very interested in this story in our TikTok live chat. So first of all, thank you guys so much for being so vocal and continuing to keep that chat going. Trying to see if there are a couple of people. I see some people saying they want to send their condolences. So wrong, pro-life until it's the mothers. These are all words from our chat, words from our viewers, not my own. So thank you again for joining the conversation there. We do have to keep moving with the news of the day, but I can see if we'll have some time to squeeze that in a little later on. Coming back to me in studio, one of the stories that I want to bring you next, we are in the holidays. There are going to be a lot of holiday parties and whatnot happening at the office. And this is actually a perfect time for you to use that in order to, gain some upward mobility maybe in the company. You never know. So coming up as soon, we're going to have a conversation with a communication expert on how you can leverage that holiday party the right way. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. The holiday time means that there's going to be more holiday parties, get-togethers, social gatherings, and this could be the perfect time for you to maybe get in good with the boss, maybe even get a promotion, if you will. And so joining us with some tips now to seal the deal at these holiday parties is Andres Lares. He's the CEO of Shapiro Negotiations Institute, and he's an expert in communications. Andres, welcome to Fox Local. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start out. I'm going to be very candid. I hate networking. I think it is so awkward, and I think that it is a way for people just to figure out what you can do for them and what they can do for you, vice versa, So for a person like me, how can we do one small thing, that low pressure step in order to take advantage of these parties during the holiday season?
Yeah, so I mean, actually, I'll give you two. So one is generally networking when you're thinking more kind of in the bigger, like the holiday parties and when it's big groups, is try to make it authentic, right? Is that you don't necessarily have to have like a plan to go in. I want to meet these 3 or 4 people. I want to talk about these 3 or 4 things. Is that kind of make it authentic? Just give yourself a chance to talk about things that you enjoy, and perhaps more importantly, ask people a bunch of questions, because people love to talk, and if given the opportunity, generally it's a great way to build rapport. That's one, and one other one I would say is it might be easier to do one-on-one. So schedule some kind of New Year coffee meetings or end-of-year coffee meetings. It's a great way to kind of do it a little bit more informally.
Okay, well, let's start on that one. You mentioned the holiday coffee meetings, the New Year coffee meetings. What is it about that works? Why should we do it?
Yeah, and so that works because a couple of things. Number one, it's one-on-one, and so there's a bit more of an intimacy there. And then number two is it's kind of more informal social setting, right? So if you think about how people react and operate when you're in the office, and it's kind of very structured and formal, and you compare that with maybe a meeting outside at a coffee shop, and so it just changes the environment, changes the feel a little bit, and in particular around the holidays, whether it's now or kind of in the new year, when sometimes there's a little bit less forward to look forward to, then that can have a nice impact.
Okay, and Andres, how do we move forward with these conversations in a way that doesn't feel transactional? Because that's the part that I hate.
Yeah, and so that takes practice a little bit, but the other is, you really want to be asking authentic questions and you want to be actively listening. And so at the beginning, there's a lot of kind of pressure to you. What interesting things am I going to say, or what am I going to bring up? And so if you're driven by genuine curiosity, you're asking a lot of questions, generally you'll start to realize it becomes a little more natural.
Well, let's talk about that active listening. What should people be listening for in these conversations?
Yeah, and so there is some business aspect to it too, right? That you want to be listening for, potentially some updates or information that could be valuable, but more so, you want to really be kind of absorbing everything they say. And one of the best lines that we hear often is that there's a difference between waiting to speak and listening. And so if you're typically want to be doing more of the latter, not necessarily have your script of things you want to say, but more so ask a few questions, kind of find out what the other person's all about, what makes them tick and what motivates them, and what they're thinking about. And then just based on that, react. And typically you'll do better than you think without a kind of a full script.
So essentially networking is not that different than these interviews that I do here on the stream. So it shouldn't be that daunting, huh?
Exactly. And it's one-on-one is a little bit more comfortable than when there's, 50 people in a big event or 100 people at a holiday party. But, take it step by step and experience and will help. But active listening, the coffees after or before, those can all be helpful and can kind of give you that first step, if you will.
Andres, I want to ask you this one. It makes me laugh a little bit, but, sometimes people struggle with saying too much or telling too much of their personal business at these holiday parties, especially when spirits are involved. So how do you avoid doing that, but still being authentic and still being there in the moment? Yeah,
well, that's delicate, especially if, like you said, spirits are involved. But, I think the goal is, you're sharing the personal in order to be able to connect with someone. And so that's really, if you're thinking about that is the objective, in the sense that you find out that they care about flowers or, gardening, or that they play the same sports you do, or they have kids similar age, or whatever it may be, that's a connection point. But if you're talking about something really personal and it's going on for quite a while, then you've probably said too much. And equally, you're going to feel pretty awkward if you're asking some questions that dig into, your colleague's second marriage. So you want to be careful with balancing the business and the profession and the personal.
It's a delicate balance. It's more like a dance. Okay, I got it. I'm writing all this stuff down. Let me ask you this too while we have you, because you're giving some really good nuggets. Is there a way for people to, keep up with you? Are you on social media? How can people hear more about what you have to say?
Yeah, and actually, I think it's two parts of that, because bringing up online platforms is also a good way to network too. I think don't forget that you can do that also online, right? And so if, for example, I was going to say LinkedIn's a great place to find us, and our website, Power Negotiations. But if you're using LinkedIn, and which professionals mainly should, is that's also a great way to network as well. And so that's a good place that you can send something during the holidays, kind of a little holiday note to someone you met a year ago you haven't talked to, or early in the year that you want to have a coffee with. And so definitely use online platforms either to engage with people or send them messages is another way to do it, not just kind of in person, especially if, like you're a little bit hesitant.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through all of this. I wanted to make sure that I put it up on the screen for us. You gave us the website, shapironegotiations.com, if you'd like to learn more. And you want to specifically learn from Andres. His name is Andres Flores, the CEO of that entity. Thank you so much for joining us here on Fox Local with this important conversation.
Thank you, and happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays to you as well. All right, you guys, we are in the holiday spirit. Want to let you know, a lot of us, we waited till the last minute. This is the time where procrastinators really thrive. It's that last minute holiday shopping. And so joining us now, we have our Chris Rosenthal. He's out at one of the Krogers here in Atlanta. Chris, how can we still get by? Christmas is right around the corner. Is it too late?
You know what? It's not too late, and I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit behind as well on shopping for some of my holiday meal items. So it's actually kind of a good thing that I'm at a Kroger here today. But the folks at Kroger here, they're going to tell us a little bit about some things that you can do last minute. You got a few days left. You want to make this easy. You want to make it painless. You want to maximize your time. You got family in town. So I got Marquis here, store manager here at the Kroger off Glenwood Avenue. And tell me, first of all, a lot of this, starts with preparation. You can do some things at home to make it a lot easier for you when you get to the store and quicker.
Yes, one of the biggest things that we actually make your list early. Make it early. Make sure you know before you come to the store what you want to shop for. Also, taking advantage of our digital app. You can digitally locate the items in the store through the app. So just making sure that you know what you're coming to shop for in the early time. And also using our circle ad. So get you one of these, circle what you need, and by departments, and that way it'll make it easier for you.
Yeah, you can map out where you got to go in the store.
Yes.
So that you're not wandering around trying to find what you need, and that'll save you some time and maybe save you some distractions, is sure. What have been some of the popular items so far?
Our rib roast has been one of the most popular items, as well as our hams throughout the store, especially our delicious red velvet cakes we have in our store, freshly made every day. So that's one of the biggest things that we have here as well. So big on holidays. So one of the things that you'll see here, we have our red velvet on display here. A great buy for anybody home table.
Spices too.
Spices, yes. You got to get your spices. That's one of the biggest things that you need for those dishes. So
people have really been running around over there.
They've been running around for the spices, yes.
It's interesting. I was talking with you guys about how, I was asking if things are well stocked. This was sort of one of the first years since COVID where things have, stocking hasn't been so much of an issue.
Right, stocking has not been an issue. We have pretty much everything coming in timely for the holidays. So if you come in, we'll have what you need on your tables.
Those supply chains have really been catching up.
Yes.
And when should people come? When would you recommend be the easiest time for people to come to the grocery store?
The earlier the better. The earlier the better. Get in. It's less traffic. Come in and get your items. Smooth shopping experience, but the earlier the better.
And by earlier, you're open at 6 a.m.?
6 a.m. The earlier you can get in, we'll be here for you.
So if you can get up that early, that's a good time to go, to come. Last minute, like if Christmas Eve, I realize I forgot something, when can I come?
Christmas Eve, you can come in. We'll be here at 6 a.m. as well, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Awesome. All right. Well, so even on Christmas Eve, you still got a chance to come get your last minute stuff. So thank you so much, Marky.
All right. Thank you.
Chris, that was great. I didn't think about the fact that I could be picking up food, edible items. It's the best way to contribute to the holiday parties that are going on right now. And so Kroger is a great option. There are a couple of other shops that you can go to as well. Good to know that it's not still too late, because I still have to do a couple shopping things myself. All right, coming back to me in studio, while we are talking about holiday shopping, I do want to let you know that if you do get your gifts and whatnot later, and think about the gifts that you will receive coming up on the holiday, if you try to return it, like you don't like your gift, it's gonna cost you. I've been seeing this all over social media, and I was like, that can't be right, that can't be real. But you guys, it is. So some retailers have now changed their policies. If you try to return an item at a store like Marshall's, TJ Maxx, Macy's, JCPenney, J. Crew, these retailers are going to charge you back, so you're not going to get your full refund. TJ Maxx and Marshalls are both going to charge you $11.99 for any returns. Macy's, $9.99, JCPenney, $8, J. Crew, $7.50. And there are also going to be some retailers charging restocking fees. So again, if you're trying to return something. It's always been that way, I believe, with electronics, but now it's moved on to clothes and toys and other kinds of gifts. So for example, Kohl's shipping costs and surcharges are non-refundable. So if you did order something online and then you try to send it back, or you bought something, you try to send it back, they're not going to give you that shipping fee. So just wanted to make sure you knew about that. Macy's, like I said before, with that $9.99 for a return fee, they also have a shipping fee, and it's all going to be deducted from your refund. So think twice before you go and try to take back that gift that you didn't like. The next best option, I don't recommend doing this, but you could if you wanted to, gift it to somebody else the next holiday. Just hold on to it and gift it again. Trying to save you all some money. All right, thank you so much for joining me here on Fox 5 News Live for our live streaming news. Do want to let you know that the news continues at noon, so don't go anywhere.